question I want us all to answer and to reflect on is, what is it that we came expecting, and what is it that we're taking away? And in this exercise, there's no judgment. If you came expecting to meet your lost love or to find your husband or wife, totally fine. And if you're leaving with something different, totally fine. If you came expecting enlightenment and you're leaving with your new husband and wife, that's also fine. But it's more of a reflection for us. What did we expect? Wisdom 2.0 thing. What do we expect to learn, and what are we taking away? And so we'll each have about 2 minutes here to share to that, and then we'll break up into small groups. You all will share to that. And then our dear friend Jack Hornfield will close with a meditation. So maybe I'll start at the end. Shelley.
So having been immersed in the Parkland community for a while, I absolutely felt and expected that we would come here and make an impact, because I've heard these incredible people speak before and share their stories, and I certainly hope we did that. But what I left with, and I think what we all left with, and I shared this with David earlier, is that there was a sense of healing here that happened that was not expected at all. And specifically, and I'll share this, and I asked for permission to do this, with Fred. Fred, we called him out on stage yesterday about coming to the retreat in August, because he's been kind of kicking and screaming about this whole mindfulness thing, and spending time with his new grief counselor, David, was really therapeutic for him, and it opened up a space, and all of you did that. So thank you so much for allowing our community to heal through you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I want to start by saying thank you. Thank you for all the speakers as well as each attendees, because I want to say I have learned a lot from this conference, not just from speakers, but also from attendees. This is my very first Wisdom 2.0 experience. I have heard a lot about this entire conference from so many people. I live in the city, and I'm so surprised I have never been to this conference till now. And I'm so happy and grateful that I'm here. And I learned so many different things, which includes, I think the most important thing that we often forget is just loving ourselves, just being in the present moment and giving ourselves permission to be right or wrong, and just to be happy and be in the present moment. So I think that's my key takeaway. Don't beat yourself up for every little thing. Just be in the moment and be happy about it.
Yeah.
Diego, would you come expecting? If you had expectations, and what do you take away?
So I'm also a rookie. This is my first Wisdom 2.0. And what I was expecting was a very calm conference. And to some extent, that definitely was so. But what I came out with was, I was not expecting the impact that was going to happen deep inside me by just interacting with people, listening to everyone speak. And what struck me the most was just how unafraid people are to do the hard thing and to move forward in fields that are not even particularly well developed, or that other people would say, what are you doing, or that's not quite common. But just being so unafraid to do what the future needs, right? Because it's important, right? We should live in the present moment, but at the same time, we know that these giant challenges are coming our way, and literally hearing how everyone is doing a little bit of different work to try to just bring a global peace together, really help humanity move forward, was just profoundly inspiring, and it has given me tremendous hope. So I'm very grateful.
David.
So
You're so busy you might not even had time to have any expectations, but if you did.
Well, when Soren asked me a couple of months ago if I would consider sitting with Shelley in the Parkland family, my reaction to him immediately was no. And it was no because just really appreciating and understanding what that group of human beings has been through. And then in some ways, the selfish fear, which in the context is absurd compared to what those individuals have been through, these human beings have been through, was real. And so, as I said yesterday on stage, we had a 2-hour session yesterday that was supposed to be half an hour in a green room just off of here. And about 20 minutes in, Fred's opening up about moments of that day. Ivy, in this beautiful interaction she was having with her husband about the phone call that they had that day, and his very sweet, wonderful affection for her. And then finally, Adam and Alea. All right, the presence of mind and the strength and courage of that young man, Adam, about how he was going to take that and turn it into something powerful. And then all of you saw this, and I'm sitting there, and Alea is sitting there, and at the end of an hour-long session, when we ask, what do you want to leave behind? 45 minutes after she had just described one of the most unspeakably horrible things that any human being can go through, she turned to an audience and said, hey, folks, turns out you really don't have to be afraid. A 17 or an 18-year-old young woman who's been through that turns to all of us and saying, you don't have to be afraid, was poignant and important. So thank you for giving me and us this opportunity.
Thank you.
How about you?
So thank you. So for those of you who know me, I don't like to plan much stuff. I like to kind of like live in the moment. So it's like, all right, what's the schedule going to be? And so I was really nervous actually going in. I was nervous going in because I hadn't done some of the preparations that I sometimes will do before an event. So I didn't come in the best mindset, to be honest. I get this thing where a few days before the conference, I'm like, oh shit, this is like happening, and should I be more prepared? So I balance this kind of thing out with like, oh, I'm just going the flow, it's all going to emerge. And yet this kind of fear of like, oh shit, are people going to be unhappy because I didn't do something? And you'd think after 10 years I would kind of have more confidence in it. And I didn't, actually, ahead of time. I was kind of in an oh shit mode. And I was like, shit, it's 10 years, people are expecting. It's like, there's so many speakers I haven't even talked to yet. I don't know, I'm just kind of this, I'm kind of go through the universe in my own weird way. And so it just kind of hit me of like there was these oh shit experiences. And then I came and I met some people in the audience early on, and they're like, oh, we're so happy to be here. I was like, oh, it's so fun to be here. I'm like, this is not about me. Like, they're already having a good time. And there's no other that I have to make happy. I kind of this feeling like, oh, I've got to make these people happy, and they have these expectations. And there was a few people, and I don't know your names, and I don't even know who you are, but you kind of came up and put your hand on me, and were just like, wow, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for doing this. And it just allowed me to just drop that weight, and just be like trusting of something that wants to happen. It was like the me world, like it's my event, I have to make everything go well. And then all of a sudden, one of you out there, or two of you out there, kind of put your hand on my wrist and my arm and said, I'm just so happy to be here, thank you. And I just could just like soften. And that to me was what I take away. So thank you, whoever that was, because I really needed that in that moment. And the other thing that I think was, I had so much honor holding the Parkland, the fact that we could hold this space. Yeah. And give that, and I thank you, Shelley, to make that an hour, like to give that breathing room, and that there's a healing that can happen collectively.
Yeah.
Like there's a power in seeing a therapist one-on-one, and power of the small group that you all had.
Yeah.
But I also think there's a power in a healing that's a communal space, and that we all heal it's not like one person heals and everybody witnesses. Like we all get healed through an experience. And so I leave holding that possibility, and I'm not sure what that looks like, but the possibility that healing doesn't happen just in a therapy room or just on a meditation retreat by ourselves, like that there's a collective experience, that somebody's story heals all of us, heals that part in all of us. And so to me, that I take that as a question that I continue to bring forth. And my son was sitting right next to me. He's 16 years old, and Fred said, I never know if I said I love you to my child. And he's like, now I never let a moment go by to not say, I love you. And my son is just like right here, and I wanted to grab him. And I love you, I love you. But that thing of never know how many moments we have. We don't. There's some story we have that we're going to live however long we think we're going to live, or grandparents live, but that sense of immediacy that Fred has about like there's no other moment to say that and do that. And just to have my son right there and him hear that same message. My mom was also here, and my sister was here. A lot of failures, but to share that experience with all of you that's one of my big takeaways.
Thank you.
So thank you.